appreciate you stopping by to check out this episode of Vintage Audio Review, and this episode is going to fall under the etc. category. One of the audio channels I follow on YouTube and subscribe to is Skylab's Audio, and they focus mainly on vintage gear, and he comes up with a lot of different topics and has real good information. If you haven't subscribed to him or checked him out, I would at least do that. I'm going to put a link to the video that he put out asking audiophile YouTubers these 11 questions, hoping to get them to respond. I see a couple of them had. Now, I wasn't on his list because this is a pretty small channel, but he encouraged us smaller channels to reply as well. And what would be interesting is if you left in the comment section how you would answer the 11 questions as well. Here's my response to these 11 questions as best as I can give them. Question number 1. Name the first piece of gear that led you down the hi-fi rabbit hole. Okay, so my really going down the rabbit hole started when I was a freshman in college, and it was mainly an engineering dorm that I lived in, and there was a lot of loud stereos being played on the weekends, and of course I needed to get into that fray. And I purchased a Sound Design AM/FM receiver. Now, it was very similar to the one that is pictured here, as best I can remember. I don't remember the model number for whatever reason, and it didn't take too long to realize that it wasn't going to get to the levels that I wanted to get as far as stereo loudness and that. I'm not sure if it came with speakers or I bought speakers, but having that and just kind of learning about stereo systems was kind of my entry into that. So I'm going to say that's my first piece of gear, and then eventually it was followed by a Sansui 8080, and I believe EPI 70 speakers were purchased when I got the 88, but we're going to say it is this Sound Design receiver. Name the favorite piece of hi-fi equipment that you currently own. I'm going to say it's my La Scala loudspeakers. Now, they also are the oldest piece of hi-fi gear that I own. I bought them in college, and I still have them. They are the industrial version, and I've done a YouTube video on how they perform and all that. But to be totally honest, they still sound great, and they don't have any mods to the crossover or that. They just sound great with most of the music that I throw at it, and I don't have to have a lot of power, although I have plenty of power for the levels I listen at with those speakers. But that would be my favorite speaker, and I haven't heard a lot of speakers that I like overall more than like La Scala's. Number 3, name the product you bought that you regretted. That would be the SM-SL SU-1 DAC. The streamer that I own, the only streamer that I purchased, is the WIM Mini, and I thought I would be better served by taking the optical out of the WIM Mini and putting it through the SM-SL DAC, which got a good review from the ASR site, so it tested very well. When I got to testing the built-in DAC on the WIM Mini and compared it to the SM-SL DAC, I didn't really see that much of a difference, and in fact right now I am not using the SM-SL DAC. It is in a cabinet back here waiting for some use, but there was nothing wrong with it. It's just I really didn't need it when the WIM Mini's DAC did just fine, and now I have a preamp that has a DAC in it, so I take the optical out of the WIM Mini and put it into the Macintosh C48's optical input. So I don't really have much of a need for the SM-SL SU-1 DAC. I'm sure it's a fine DAC, but for my purposes it doesn't really serve any function anymore. Number 4, if you could only use one song to demo your stereo system, what would it be? That took a minute's worth of thought, and without a doubt it would have to be Diana Krall's Temptation. Just her voice, just the arrangement, there's some good bass in it, and it's a clean recording. That is definitely the song I would use to demo my system, and it's one of my tracks for testing stereo here. Number 5 is a fun and interesting one, and that is, if money were no object, what would be your perfect stereo system? I'm not sure I have a perfect stereo system. However, I do have a stereo system that would make me very happy, and it would start off with the Klipsch Jubilee loudspeakers. Now, in my current house, it would be a bit difficult to get them to work, but with a little bit of rearranging, I probably could. They are a speaker that requires biamping, so to do that, I'm going to get a pair of Macintosh MC901 tube solid-state amplifiers. So they have both a tube portion and a solid-state portion, and they're designed for biamping. They're about 19 grand a pair. So the speakers are probably 36K. A pair of these are going to be 38K, and the preamp would be the Macintosh C55, probably close to 10K, I'm guessing. So that would keep you under 100K for those pieces. I'm not real sensitive to what kind of a streamer I might have. You know, maybe a cassette deck now and then I could throw in there, or a real player would be kind of fun to have. But with those three pieces, I think I could be very happy in my audiophile world. Number 6, if you had to choose one music format, what would that be? It would be CDs. And the main reason for that, and lately my internet has gone down during the monsoon season here in Tucson, and then you don't have internet, so you can't really stream. If you rip your CDs as WAV files, you could, store them on a NAS device, which would still work. As long as your Wi-Fi is working, which shouldn't be dependent upon being connected to the internet. You can take those WAV files and put them on a portable music player that can do a good job, like my Surfans F20, playing WAV files. All of my cars have CD players still, and so it's a good medium for that. And so I would say CDs would be nice. I still like having the medium, and you can always rip it to a format that you could use. So I would stick with CDs. Number 7, what's a stereo product that people love that you just don't understand? That would have to be a manual turntable, especially in this day and age. Maybe if you only listen to vinyl, once a week or every couple weeks, you can get up and drop it over and then make sure you're there when it ends and move it over. And I'm talking about a total manual turntable. At least a semi-automatic, where it lifts the needle up at the end. I mean, that's okay, but to have a fully manual turntable, I don't get it if you listen to vinyl regularly. Number 8, what is your next upgrade? I don't have anything specific in mind. I occasionally go on the lookout for some amplifiers. There's some Sound Craftsman things that I think would be fun to have, some of their equalizers maybe. But I don't have any specific desire to get anything. Maybe a pair of the BMR Philharmonic speakers. I heard those. I thought they were real nice, but that would require a subwoofer, so I may not go that route. Plus, I don't have tons of room because I have a couple rooms with different speakers in them, and I can go to another room and get a different sound if I want. But right now I would say I don't have anything on my to-get list. Number 9. A piece of equipment that you've kept in your system for looks alone. I don't have anything that would fit that category. About the closest thing that I have is the BSR 14 EQ, the equalizer I did a review on a couple videos back. I'm only using it for a spectrum analyzer display, and it's actually not even in the loop, so it doesn't process the signal. It just takes one of the outputs out of the C48 and it just displays what the frequencies are that are going into my power amp. So it's not being used as an equalizer per se, so maybe that would be the closest I have for looks alone, although it gives me information. I have to know what frequencies are going into my amplifier at all times. Number 10, the last piece of equipment that made you want to re-listen to your entire music collection. It really wouldn't happen, and I don't know how practical of a question that was, Kevin, because most of us have a lot of records, a lot of CDs, maybe even cassettes, reel-to-reel tapes, and it would take a long time to re-listen to stuff. Sometimes I want to re-listen to some records I bought a long time ago that weren't played a lot, and it would just be, maybe I want to hear them using one turntable versus another turntable and one speaker, that kind of thing. But there's nothing that I've gotten that says, wow, I gotta re-listen everything because the sound is so much different now. And lastly, number 11 asks, What is an accessory that has come out recently that you can't imagine living without? These have probably been around in some shape or form or another for many years, but they're pretty simple nowadays, and they do a pretty good job, at least this one does, of not affecting the signal negatively when you use it, and that would be the Saw U-Peak AV switcher. Now this lets you switch between 2 amps and 1 speaker, or 2 speakers and 1 amp. I have 2 systems that use these. In one case I can switch between the Bryston 2B LP solid state amplifier or my Macintosh MacKit 30 tube mono blocks and my La Scala speakers, so it just makes it real easy. Just flip the switch when I want to go from one to the other. And I use another one to switch between my recently acquired Bose 901 Series 6 speakers, complete with the equalizer and the pedestals. Maybe one day I'll do a review on those. And a AV receiver with HDMI inputs, or my Project One Mark XX integrated amplifier system. You just flip the switch when you want to go from one system to the other, and you don't have to change out the speakers and move wires around. So to me, that is a really great accessory. All right, so those are my answers to the 11 questions posed by Kevin from Skylabs Audio as part of his challenge, and I hope you found them entertaining or enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to seeing what your responses to those questions would be. You could do all 10 of them, or you just want to do a couple. It would be kind of fun to get some reaction going from those of you watching this. And once again, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And until next time, have a great day or night.